I've been waiting for you to summon me ever since you came here. Waiting and waiting and waiting. But my sapling didn't so much as utter my name. Such a heartless thing he is. Cold and cruel and heartless!
Another self-important little brat. Just what we need.
Reminds me of my childhood.
All right, I'm sorry. It was a joke. Honestly, just a joke.
But just now you called for me so earnestly, so fervently. I couldn't possibly stay angry at you. Very well. As your lovely branch, I will lend you my strength.
If it isn't Theo, the mould feel. It's been too long.
Not long enough for you to think of any new games, though, apparently. If I were you, I'd be bored of myself. Now let me make something clear. That mortal is mine. No matter what you do, he will never be yours. Never, never, ever!
Oh, not even a bit. But what about the others? Surely we can keep them.
No! You can't keep them either! They're for my amusement and mine alone! And if you lay so much as a finger on my sapling, I'll scatter the contents of his bag all over your precious village! There'll be cold, hard metal, furry, festering food, stinky, sweaty small clothes, and all manner of other terrible, unmentionable things. How would you like that,
All right. But will you not at least let us play with the twins? Just while the others go and see Urianger?
Aye, that's all we ask. And we promise we'll play nicely.
It seems we won't be joining you.
Aye! We'll reveal the hidden Fernic to you at once.
So this is the true Ilmeg.
How are you feeling?
Better. I think I remember the way now.
Apologies for the delay. Shall we go and see Urianger?
Your lovely branch is useful, yes? So whenever you're in trouble, you must remember to make use of me!
Urianger, are you in?
Unto a world weary of heroes, a hero wends his way. The Exarch did send word that thou wouldst seek me out, but ne'er did I imagine thou wouldst arrive so soon. Full glad am I to see thee once more, my friend, and none the worse for thy travails.
Run along, Minfilia. We will meet you outside.
But...
Another one for you to imbue, if you'd be so kind.
I take it thou hast met with our other comrades already? That Master Alphino and Mistress Alize now travel in thy company is of great comfort to me. As for the rest... It beginneth in earnest. The hunting of the Light Wardens, and perforce the war with Yulmore. Hark thee then to my words, and through them behold the vision that I did glimpse, that of the 8th Umbral Calamity. As I drifted hither to the first, traversing the boundary twixt reality and potentiality, I did bear witness to events yet to come. There I saw the combined forces of Eorzea and the Far East offering fierce resistance to the legions of Garlemald. So fierce, in fact, that they did begin to push the enemy back. Ilm by painful ilm at first, then Yalm by Yalm, and Malm by Malm in time. Yet the joy they felt was short-lived, for in so doing they did force the Empire's hand. Faced with defeat, the Garleans turned to a weapon most vile: Black Rose. Its potency defied all reckoning. Once released, the gas took on a life of its own, wreaking untold carnage not only in Eorzea, but in the provinces of the Empire besides. From fighters upon the front lines to babes in their beds, none were spared. And as the casualties became too numerous to count, so did the fabric of civilization begin to unravel. Nor did the land itself escape unscathed. For spreading from the site of its release, Black Rose brought death to the very soil. To survive amidst the chaos and upheaval, men came to live by the sword, the rule of law giving way, inevitably, to the rule of might. Thus was the spark struck and the fire kindled, and swiftly did it spread as a blaze in a field of straw to engulf every corner of the world. Nations worthy of the name did then cease to exist. And those souls brave and true who might have risen to restore order were no more. For the weapon spared not one, not even thee. An endless age of war, begotten by the blight of Black Rose. Such is the legacy of the 8th umbral calamity which I did behold. No matter the cost, we must forestall this tragedy. To that end, I have labored during my sojourn in this world, discovering in so doing the answer to a pressing mystery. That of Black Rose's inexplicable potency. Come. Dost thou recognize yonder chart? Indeed. 'Tis a rendering of the elemental wheel, such as one might find in classrooms across the source. As the chart maketh plain, our world is composed of 6 elements, in addition to which there exist 2 poles in fundamental opposition. Astral, the active; umbral, the passive. As a reflection of the source, the first naturally compriseth the selfsame forces. Yet, curiously, there is a notable divergence in their nomenclature. To be specific, the denizens of this world employ not the terms astral and umbral. Thus was I moved to inquire what names said forces had been assigned. A simple question which yielded a most unexpected answer. Upon demanding the name of the pole aligned with activity and growth, I was told that as life's myriad colors combine to produce black, the people of the first had called it darkness. At this, did my mind begin to race. Yet 'twas only when I asked what name had been given to the pole aligned with passivity that mine eyes were opened to the truth. Peace and tranquility being as purest white, unmarred by color, I was told it had been given the name of light.
That's umbral light and astral darkness, yes? I'm no etherologist, but it strikes me that the nomenclature of the first is rooted in the generation of the two forces, while our own appears to focus on their effects. Which makes one wonder, have we had it backwards all this time?
'Tis indeed a compelling question, and one which beareth closer examination. Yet what knowledge we already possess sufficeth to explain the chain of events. The phenomenon of etheric thinning observed in the source is the consequence of light, the power of stasis, flowing in from the first to stifle the movement of ether within the land. And according to Master Alphino, Black Rose slayeth by halting the circulation of ether within living beings. Should such a weapon be unleashed even as the first were rejoined, replete as it is with light,
we would have a disaster of untold proportions on our hands. A calamity. Well, at least we have a better grasp of what we're facing. Our objective, however, remains unchanged. We are to eliminate the Light Warden of Ilneg. Speaking of which, were you able to ascertain its whereabouts?
Aye. 'Tis all but certainly ensconced within Leargear, the castle which standeth in the midst of the lake. To enter said stronghold, we must needs turn to the pixies for aid. Fortunately, I have become quite adept at courting their cooperation. Henceforth shall I accompany you, and do all in my power to ensure that my vision doth not come to pass. 'Tis done. The Pixies shall be well pleased with these gifts. Ah, lest I forget. White auracite, newly forged for thy use. Our mission being to thwart a rejoining, we will most assuredly cross paths with those who crave the contrary, our eternal enemies. Thus did I choose to abide in this ether-rich land, the better to fashion a trap for the Ascian's essence.
May I come in now?
You may indeed, assuming you've finished.
I did as you asked.
That's my girl, thank you. I should probably explain. Though my body remained behind in the source, its limitations saw fit to accompany me, which is to say, I cannot manipulate ether. I took up the gunblade for its defensive advantages, but on account of my little impairment, I cannot imbue the ammunition myself. Luckily for me, Minfilia has quite a talent for it.
Minfilia, once we set forth, we are not like to return for some while. If thou wouldst choose tomes to take with thee, let it be now.
Really? May I?
Of course, my dear. Yet have care thou dost not add overmuch to thy burden, lest I incur Thancred's ire. Hast thou spoken to him of thine encounter with the Minfilia of Eld?
Well, I suppose now is as good a time as any. As you know, I freed young Minfilia from captivity in Yulmore some 3 years past. Not long after, the two of us journeyed to the south of Armareng, to the edge of the Empty, where the flood was halted. 'Twas there that she awakened. The Minfilia of old. My Minfilia.
Tell me, what must I do to bring you back?
My dearest Thancred, as I am now, I am no different from an Ascian. This child is but a vessel. One of many I have used that I might spread word of her enduring blessing and preserve the flame of hope. In my name, each has died, never having lived her own life. I have taken enough from these children. I will take no more.
But what of your suffering? Your sacrifice? This isn't fair! I will not stand for it. I cannot! There must be something we can do. Tell me!
Should the day come when this child grows weary of fighting and wishes to cast it all aside, then shall I take up her burden. But should she wish instead to become the master of her own destiny, then shall I bequeath to her my all. Imbued with the strength that I reserve for rebirth, she may come to wield my powers as her own.
And what of my wishes? What of Flamine's? What of all the people who love and care for you and want nothing more than to see you again?
It is not their decision to make. It is hers. This child's. This Minfilia's. You have ever watched over me, Thancred. Now I ask that you do the same for her. Protect her. Teach her. Stand by her as you stood by me. There is much and more she does not know. She needs a guide to show her the ways of the world, or she will never find her own path. When the time comes, you will find me here. Until that day.
Minfilia, wait!
What happened?
And then she was gone. Minfilia, the girl, claims to have no recollection of any of it. I have told her many things, where we came from, what we fight for, but of that day, I have not spoken.
With the coming of another possessed of the blessing of light, the first hath begun to rise up in defiance of its fate. The question remaineth, however.
I'm sorry I took so long. It was so hard to choose. In the end, I settled on just the one.
That is well. Now, if all is in order, Let us set forth for Lida Loran.
Excellent. The disposition of the Imperial forces is exactly as expected. I will notify Father. Cannon fire! Where did it come from?
Smoke! There! Is that... Oh, gods, it's Relga's Reach.
It's no use. I think someone's jamming our communications.
You don't think... Could this be part of a coordinated attack?
Too early to draw conclusions. We must abort the assault and return to the Reach at once.
What took you so long?
Alpha, no, I need your help! My lord, the prisoners!
See to your men, Pylus.
As you command, my lord.
Your friends were a disappointment. But you will entertain me, will you not? Pathetic.
Seven hells.
Shall we give chase, General?
Nay, there has been enough death this day. See to the wounded.
Aye, sir.
You all right, lad? Tis no ordinary folk who best the likes of you.
To think the Moogles would prove such harsh taskmasters. Forgive me. I did not know you had suffered so in your quest for the Horn. I must say, your spirited accounts always come as a welcome change from the arid reports which fill my days. Though I have lived in these lands my entire life, to hear you speak of them, there is much and more I have yet to see. Truly, yours was a marvelous journey. Well, truth be told, when I think back on the sweeping vistas of the churning mists, I do feel some slight pangs of wanderlust. Alas, much as I would like to accept your invitation, I fear my present duties with the House of Lords demand my undivided attention. Someday, perhaps. By your deeds, you have helped us to lay the foundation for lasting reform. The formation of the Republic is but the beginning, for it is not only our system of governance which must needs change. We, the people, must learn to let go of our hatreds and rise above our bloody past. I only pray that I live long enough to see us achieve some measure of success, that I might know the lost did not die in vain. I can still see you there on the steps of faith, striding fearlessly towards the worm. If you could do that, who are we to balk at the challenges ahead? The question of how best to strengthen ties with the other great nations of Eorzea has been debated at length in the Lords and Commons of late. As you may imagine, maintaining stability during this period of historic upheaval is our paramount concern. Nevertheless, we are greatly indebted to the Alliance for their support during the Grand Melee, and it would be remiss of us not to repay their faith in kind. Of course, we owe you the greatest debt of all, and it is my hope that in extending our support to you and the Scions, we might also express our gratitude to our neighbours, nay, our fellow Eorzeans, whom we pray you will continue to protect. The Lords and Commons agree on very little, but not a soul in either house begrudges your order this offer of patronage. May I ask a personal question? Now that the dust has settled, what will you do? Not as a scion, I mean, but what do you want for yourself?
Lord Commander, pray forgive the interruption.
News from House Fulton?
An urgent message for the Warrior of Light. I was instructed to deliver it without delay. Master Thancred returned to the manor a short time ago, bearing an injured maiden. Master Leveilleur and Mistress Tataru are tending to her wounds, but they like not her chances. Respectfully, my lord, they have requested the Warrior of Light's immediate presence.
You must go to them, my friend, and I shall go with you.
Svelga. By the 12, mine ears hear the tongue of dragons.
Svelga, the truth. But speak it up. I have...
Launch I...
than the spirit.
Indeed.
Be that as it may, Lord Hraesvelga, we would spare both our...
Indeed.
Well, what do you propose we do now? I, for one, am intent on continuing to the east.
What is there to be found in the east?
Nidhogg's lair, the Eyrie, is said to lie in that direction. And the eye tells me he is near.
You cannot still mean to slay him.
You cannot still mean to stop me. I have been true to my word, and aided you in this fool's errand with Hraesvelga. But your efforts at parley have come to naught, Lady Iceheart. I would see Ishgard saved, and for that, Nidhogg must die.
With the tale of our ancestors' vile betrayal yet ringing in your ears, you speak of continuing this war?
Nay, lady. I would but pierce its vengeful heart. When Nidhogg dies, this war shall die with him.
A moment, Estinian. You yourself spoke of the great even behind the stout walls of Ishgard.
In close combat, this will afford us an advantage. And with two Azure Dragoons working in unison, who can say what might be possible? But such speculation is meaningless if we cannot even find the worm. Our first task must be to seek out Nidhogg's lair.
The story of this nation grows bloodier by the moment. Must death always be answered with more of the same?
Such is the way of things, I fear. I shall consider it a miracle if mine armor is not stained crimson ere this conflict is ended.
should be blinded by my own lies.
The popularity. A word from your... The populares no longer present an obstacle. Now is the time to bring the Empire's might to bear. A word from your radiance is all it takes. But one word, and the Imperial army will fall upon Alamigo as a pack of bloodthirsty wolves and tear that feeble nation apart. Have you no words for me? Despite the lengths I go to, an emissary playing the part of a fool. When first I took this face, I swore to use all of my knowledge, all of my power, to further the cause of the Empire. My deeds stand testament to my commitment. And with this adamant flesh at my disposal, I could destroy the Icon Slayer as easily as one might swat a fly. Why do you hesitate? Our enemy is resourceful. Though victory is certain now, it will not remain so indefinitely. Deliberate if you must, but be quick about it. We'll speak again when you have unburdened yourself of doubt. Until then, I take my leave. father.
I should be the one to sigh. I played my part to perfection. I had earned my rest, and then, thanks to La Habrea's crowning act of idiocy, our favorite emissary sees fit to summon me back. Elidibus was ever a warrior. A most tiresome trait, would you not agree? What? Have you no words for me either? No matter. I've long grown weary of this mummery. Now, my dearest grandson, let me remind you of your place in the simplest of terms. You do not make judgments, you administer them. Swiftly and to the letter. Naught else is your concern. Elidibus may be an insufferable bore, but he is no fool. His choices as emissary seldom err. If aught threatens the balance twixt light and dark, it falls to you to remove it. Be it by your own hands or by your armies, you have ample means at your disposal. That is why this empire exists, why I built it! Oh dear, have I touched a nerve? You always were an easy one to read. I pity you, I do. As they say, ignorance is bliss. And I know how much happier you would be not knowing the things you know. The Founding Father was an Ascian, and he created the Empire